This is North Georgia's News Talk.
WDUN. This girl is on fire.
So happy to have you here with us, folks. 6 minutes after 7 o'clock as Game On continues this Tuesday evening. I hope you're safe at home. If you're not safely home yet, I hope you are being safe getting there. Roads are getting dicey and icy, folks. Be patient. Turn on your headlights. Be kind to others out on the roadways. You will get home eventually, I promise. For most of you, your business is closed tomorrow. You don't have to go to school to teach or do anything of the sort. So you've got all day tomorrow to do all the things you want to rush home and get to tonight. So please be safe out there on the roadways. Before we get to, I got to bring this up. Before we get to Brett Forrest, ESPN the Magazine writer. Atlanta traffic gridlocked. It doesn't matter what interstate you look at. It doesn't matter what midtown street you go down, gridlocked. So badly that people are getting out of their cars and walking home. That is apocalyptic in nature. But in all of this chaos, there's always like this silver lining. Always. Always. On 285 this evening, a woman, her husband were stranded. The woman was pregnant. She went into labor. And with the help of authorities, her baby was born in their stranded car on 285. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's cool. Now, the baby's in good health and all this. That's just a good story to me. I hate that I don't want to be stranded on 285. I don't want to be stranded. I don't want to be stranded here tonight. And we've got great accommodations. Jay Jacobs, the head man in charge, wonderful couch in his office. Very comfortable chair should I need somewhere to sleep. And there's food to be had and drink. I don't want to be stranded anywhere. But how nice of people to just step in when it's needed. The guy was not a gynecologist. He was not He just stepped in. I'll help you out. A baby born on 285.
And so far, that may be the one silver lining out of this entire travesty of snow across the state of Georgia.
And I will say, for all of you women out there shaking your head at me, no, I do not necessarily think it's a silver lining for the woman who was in labor and had the baby. That is not what I mean. I'm sure those were very uncomfortable situations, but baby was born healthy. We've got new parents in the midst of the storm and chaos. All right. I've been vocal the last couple weeks in questioning why the Olympics, which are, in my mind, a 2-year, 4-year, whether you're talking winter or summer, beacon of togetherness. Oh, isn't she feeling sweet tonight? But I've been vocal in questioning why the Olympics are housed in countries of unrest. Why even go there? Why even do that? There's been a lot made recently surrounding the Sochi Games. And the question why. So I thought I would have someone on, Game On, who could answer that question, among others I had. Brett Forrest is an international affairs writer who is also a contributing writer for ESPN the Magazine. And he has a story out now about the Sochi Olympics and Vladimir Putin's role in them. It's titled Monopoly Games. I have posted it to Twitter. I've posted it to Facebook. Game On with KDB Davis, the Facebook page. Twitter at KDB Davis, the handle. I implore you to read it. It's a long read, folks, but it's quite good. Brett called me today and we chatted at length. Now, I'm not going to bring you the whole 20-minute chat. I'm only going to bring you part of the conversation. But we began by my asking why the games should be in Russia.
There's so many problems and difficulties and side issues that are taking our attention away from the sporting part of the games, which should be the real focus. And let me just say that I think that Russia certainly deserves to host the Olympics. Russia and before it, the Soviet Union, these countries have a history of great success in the Winter Olympics. This is one of the major winter sports countries in the whole world. The Russian Federation has never hosted an Olympics. The Soviet Union only hosted the Olympics once. This is the largest country by land in the world. This is not North Korea. And I think Russia deserves to host the Olympics. Now, what are Putin's games? Well, that gets us into some, a bit of gray area, and there's a lot to talk about there. Vladimir Putin has ruled Russia since 2000. So we're talking 14 years where he's been president or prime minister and de facto leader of the country. There's only one political party in Russia, and that's Putin's party, United Russia. He's effectively quashed all political dissent, all social dissent in the country, and he's a difficult partner for Western democracies to deal with in the world, politically, economically, and otherwise. And he's using these games in Sochi in a lot of ways, but primarily, I think, to show the world that his system, that Putin's system for Russia, is the system for the world, more or less. And that's a bit of a difficult pill to swallow for Western viewers.
I want to hear this from you, and in the piece, and again, it's Monopoly Games. It's on ESPN.com for ESPN the Magazine, the music issue. Great read. In your opinion, do the games being in Sochi speak to a corruption of the IOC a bit? I mean, do you see them putting the games in places like Beijing, like a Sochi, to maybe show the world that those places aren't so bad?
Well, yeah, you might put it that way, but let's be realistic and practical about things and understand that the IOC is not some pristine bastion of morality. I mean, it's really a business. When you think about the Olympic ideal of brotherhood and achievement and egalitarianism, that's just an old myth, and that's something that perhaps an athlete can aspire to. But this is a big business. As it's been reported in a lot of places, Russia has spent more than $50 billion developing the Sochi Games, which makes it the most expensive Olympics ever put on. So is the IOC under siege for putting the Olympics in China and in Russia, which are two countries that operate very differently from Western democracies? No, it's not, because the IOC doesn't really stand for these values that it puts forth anymore. The IOC is a business, and the Chinese and the Russian governments are willing to spend a lot, and now these games cost a lot, and there aren't a lot of places that can afford to put them on in the way that viewers and athletes expect them to be put on. So, look, we live in one world. We all share it. And I don't see anything wrong with a lot of different countries hosting the Olympics or the World Cup or these other international sporting events. I mean, Russia's part of the world. China's part of the world. I would disagree with the IOC if they were to, say, put the Olympics in North Korea. There are some countries, I think, that maybe go beyond the pale. But, we can't have the Olympics only in countries that we like. It's just not how the world works.
That is very, very well said, and one of the reasons that I wanted to have you on my show is because to say that you are eloquent in the way that you write and speak is a vast understatement. You lived in Russia for 5 years. Flatly, if you were an American, if you were parents of an American athlete, more to the point, would you hesitate to go watch your child compete in these games?
No, not at all. Not at all. Look, any major sporting event today has to deal with these security issues. I'm sorry, that's just the world we live in now. Look what happened at the Boston Marathon, unfortunately. Of course, having the games in Sochi, which is located just a couple hundred miles away from the epicenter of Russia's Islamic insurgency, is not the ideal location for an event like this. However, Russian special forces are some of the most experienced and professional people in this line of work in the world. And the Russians are very good at securing an object. They may not be good at securing a whole country. I mean, look how big the place is. But, neither are we. Nobody can secure a whole country. But if you give the Russians an arena to secure, they're going to do a pretty good job. Now, that's not saying that, I'm not guaranteeing that nothing bad will happen over there. But if I were the parent of an athlete who spent his or her whole life training and preparing for this moment, definitely I would go over there, because I think overall these Olympics are going to be really positive and fun and a great spectacle. The Russians really know how to put on a good party, and they're spending a ton of money this time doing it.
We're continuing our conversation with Brett Forrest. He's an international affairs writer, yes, also a contributing writer for ESPN the Magazine. Again, the piece is called Monopoly Games. And, Brett, you mentioned in it, you quote someone as saying, actually, that for most athletes it's win or lose. For Russian athletes, it's win or die. That's a bit drastic in my opinion, but apparently the truth there. How much pressure is being put on these athletes from Russia to succeed this year, especially considering that the games are housed in their country?
Yeah, I think you hit it on a good point there, Katie. There's tremendous pressure on Russian athletes heading into the Sochi Olympics, especially the men's hockey team. I think that, certainly people over there have told me that, yes, it's important how Russia performs in these Olympics, but there really only two things matter for, I think, the country as a whole. The medal count. It's important for them to be number one. It's important for any host country to strive for that position. And of equal or perhaps greater importance is the performance of the men's hockey team, and that they just must win the gold medal. That's the feeling over there. And the reason why is because, as you know, you're old enough to remember, during the Soviet Union, the men's hockey team for the Soviet Union was dominant in international play. And they won, I believe, 5 gold medals in the Olympics. Granted, they were de facto professional, playing against amateurs, but in international play against all-stars from the NHL, they more than held their own and often won not only games but tournaments and competitions. And this was a real sign of Soviet might and prowess during the Cold War when the armies of the West and the East didn't face each other on a battlefield. They faced each other in sporting events. And this was the men's hockey team was a sign for the Soviet Union, the average Soviet citizen, that their country was stronger than the West, that their system was better, that their system produced better athletes and better, and they could strategize better in more or less what is a war game, a sporting event. Since the fall of the Soviet Union, the Russian Federation's men's hockey team has only won 2 medals in the Olympics, a bronze and a silver. It hasn't won the gold since. So now that the games are back in Russia, well, for the first time in Russia, Russian people expect the men's hockey team to win gold. And if they don't get it, it's going to be a huge disappointment.
I appreciate Brett's diplomacy in his answers. I also appreciate how knowledgeable he is about that area of the world. And if you want to find out really how much this guy knows, go read Monopoly Games, ESPN.com. It's for ESPN the Magazine. It's a great read. How these are Vladimir Putin's Olympics, how they are there to serve his ego. It really is an incredible read. I implore you to go check it out. We've got it posted again on Facebook and on Twitter. Game On with Katie B. Davis, the Facebook page, at KTB Davis, the Twitter handle. We're also going to have the interview podcasted by tomorrow up on Twitter and Facebook as well. Just ahead, Demarius Thomas at the Super Bowl Media Day. And your social media questions as part of the Starting 5. This is Game On WDUN.